So Memes is asking, if someone used tools I've developed and found fundamental theory of physics, would I feel excited, disappointed, thoughts? Oh, I mean, it'd be great. I think we are, at this point, we have the framework for such a theory. I will be completely amazed if, as we nail down, how does physics really work, and, what are electrons and all this kind of thing, I'll be amazed if the framework that we have is not, is not the right thing. And I think that it's kind of inevitable at this point, because the framework we have is clear. That's sort of a machine code for 5 other frameworks that people have developed that are pretty much the complete set of serious frameworks in mathematical physics. I think sort of we're all right. But we happen to have built a machine code layer that's sort of lower level than the other things that have been done, and somewhat more explicit. So it's easier to see what's happening. But I think, as that gets tightened up, it will be, and I think the thing that I've realized is, when we tighten it up and we find the electron, we will find the electron as we observers observe the universe. Aliens, so to speak, who we would not recognize at all because they are incoherently different from us, will have a different electron. So in a sense, what we find when we find a fundamental theory of physics is a bridge between the way that we humans are and the way that nature fundamentally is, in some sense. And so that's kind of the way to understand what we're looking for. And yeah, it'll be great if more progress is made. And it's great that there are a lot of people now. We've had a couple of summer schools, a couple of winter schools devoted to our physics project. A lot of people working on things related to it. A lot of people in academic physics and mathematical physics and mathematics working on related things. It's really nice to see. And I have to say, it's been it's been interesting that the kind of the sort of there haven't been pitchforks at all. It's been a very positive and synergistic experience, I would say. So I'm a big enthusiast. I want somebody else to do it. I'm happy with things I've done. Somebody else gets to discover the electron in these models. If I have to do it, I'll be a little bit disappointed, because it's kind of in a sense development of there are a lot of things that were in the NKS book that were said, I think, with very good clarity in the book, I like to believe, where they were like, world, you should just do this. There's things to do here. Just go do it. Like the things about physics, for example. It's like, just go do it. I gave a TED talk, for example, in 2010, which quite a lot of people watched, where somebody pointed this out to me. I sort of said, in a decade, I hope that we'll be able to sort of hold in our hands a theory of physics. And it's like, like 1 million people watched, 2 million, whatever it was. And, there were a couple of young people who did follow up and who I worked with on that project. But that was a very attenuated number. And I certainly would have hoped and expected that given the launch pad, so to speak, that there would be more done. But, it's hard to get these things to happen. And I think now, we are planning to launch this Ruleological Society to help collect the large number of researchers who've done interesting things, that many of them building on things I did in the 80s, things that I did in New Kind of Science, but it hasn't been sort of collected in a coherent way. And that's something I hope we'll be able to help with.